Correction, Parole, Prison, and the Possibility of Change by Ben Auster explores the complexities of the parole system and the challenges faced by those trying to change their lives after prison. Auster, who has experience in the criminal justice system, provides insight into the human stories behind statistics, showing how policy, reform, and real people intersect. The book highlights the difficulties of reintegration, the role of support systems, and the importance of meaningful rehabilitation. Auster calls for a more compassionate and effective approach to correctional policies. Chapter 1. Inside the Parole System. Auster starts by explaining the basics of the parole system and how it works. He details the challenges that individuals face while trying to navigate the rules and conditions of parole. He emphasizes that the process can be confusing and often lacks support for parolees. The author suggests that readers advocate for clearer guidelines and better resources for people on parole to help them succeed after release. Chapter 2. The Struggles of Reintegration. This chapter delves into the difficulties parolees experience when re-entering society. Auster shares stories of individuals facing issues such as finding employment, securing stable housing, and dealing with stigma. He argues that without adequate support, many people struggle to avoid returning to prison. Auster encourages readers to support initiatives that provide job training, housing assistance, and mental health resources for former inmates. Chapter 3. The Importance of Rehabilitation. Auster discusses how real change is only possible when rehabilitation programs are meaningful and accessible. He highlights programs that have helped reduce recidivism, focusing on education, counseling, and vocational training. The author urges readers to push for more investment in rehabilitation services within the prison system and to support organizations that provide such programs. Chapter 4. The Human Element. This chapter puts a spotlight on the human stories of those who have been through the parole system. Auster shares personal accounts that show the resilience and determination of people trying to rebuild their lives. He argues that empathy is essential in shaping fair and effective policies. The author recommends readers engage in community activities or volunteer programs that support people transitioning from prison to society. Chapter 5. Flaws in the System. Auster points out specific flaws in the parole and correctional system, including inconsistencies in parole board decisions and the lack of standardization. He explains how these flaws can lead to unfair outcomes and contribute to high recidivism rates. Auster suggests that readers advocate for reforms that ensure greater fairness and transparency in parole decisions. Chapter 6. The Role of Community Support. Community support is crucial for parolees to thrive after release. Auster discusses how mentoring programs, community centers, and faith-based organizations can play a significant role in providing the necessary support. He recommends readers get involved with or donate to community programs that help reintegrate former inmates and foster a sense of belonging and purpose. Chapter 7. Policy and Reform. In this chapter, Auster looks at policy changes that have been effective in other parts of the world and what lessons can be applied in the U.S. He shares examples of successful parole systems that focus on rehabilitation over punishment. Auster calls for legislative action that prioritizes reformative approaches and encourages readers to support policymakers who advocate for change. Chapter 8. Barriers to Change. Auster explores why the system is resistant to change, including political, social, and economic factors. He explains how fear and misconceptions about crime can hinder progress. The author advises readers to challenge stereotypes about former inmates and support policies that are based on data and compassion rather than fear. Chapter 9. Hope for the Future. The final chapter is focused on hope and the potential for change. Auster emphasizes that change is possible when there is collaboration between lawmakers, communities, and individuals affected by the system. He stresses that everyone has a role to play in creating a more just and effective correctional system. The author urges readers to stay informed, vote for reform-minded leaders, and contribute to efforts that support a fairer approach to parole and corrections. That's it. Thank you so much for tuning in.